Molly McBride at the First Alert Update Desk. A deadly crash is under investigation in North Las Vegas. It happened around 10:30 this morning in a neighborhood near Cary Avenue and MLK Boulevard. Police arrived to find two adults in a Hyundai Sonata with critical injuries. Both were taken to the hospital, and one of those passengers has since died. Investigators say the Sonata ran a stop sign and crashed into a Dodge Ram pickup headed in the other direction. Police say neither speed nor impairment are factors.